I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come. Let anyone who is thirsty come, because the work of the cross is done. Drink freely from the water of life. The way and truth is Jesus Christ. He sent an angel to present this revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of seven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. This revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of seven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come. John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come. Let anyone who is thirsty come, because the work of the cross is done. Drink freely from the water of life. The way and truth is Jesus Christ. He sent an angel to present this revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. This revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven. I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come. Let anyone who is thirsty come, because the work of the cross is done. Drink freely from the water of life. The way and truth is Jesus Christ. He sent an angel to present this revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven.
Right. Thank you. Tonight, my phone battery is down, so I'm playing a little bit.
This
Right.
revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. He comes with the clouds of heaven.
Right. Welcome to the place tonight.
I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things.
All right, welcome everybody.
All on the earth
We're here.
and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to the place tonight, everybody. We're here and we're glad you're here.
Because the work of the cross is done.
And
Drink freely from the water of life. The way and truth is Jesus Christ. He sent an angel to present this revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. This revelation to his servant John. The day of truth is about to dawn. The angels in a group of 7. He comes with the clouds of heaven.
we are ready.
He comes with the clouds of heaven. Clouds of
All right, thank you for being with us tonight.
am the one who heard and saw all
I
these
think I am
things.
doing it.
Let all on the earth and in heaven sing.
Yeah, well, probably just my phone battery.
Source of David,
And,
heir to his throne.
charge it.
If you find and follow Jesus, you
All right, welcome everybody. We're getting everything ready and
He is the
rolling.
crying
So we'll take
morning
just a moment
star.
here
He is the God who's
and
never far. The Spirit and the bride say, "Come." Let anyone who hears this say, "Come."
all right, we got it
Let
going on.
anyone
Yes,
who is
sirree.
thirsty
Hallelujah.
come,
All right, it is a good night
because the
in the
work of the
neighborhood.
cross is
So
done.
glad to be
Drink
back on
freely from the
tonight.
water of
I
life.
was off last night,
The
in case
way
you
and
didn't
truth
know that.
is Jesus
So we are
Christ.
here
He
and glad to be
sent
here. Thank you
an
for being with us.
angel to
What
present
a
this
great week we've
revelation
already
to
had.
his
I don't know what's going
servant
on with y'all,
John.
but
The
wow,
day of
it's
truth
just been
is
like wild
about
and
to
crazy.
dawn.
And
The angels in a
all
group
kinds of
are
things going on.
set.
I have a question
He
from Deborah
comes with the
from
clouds of heaven.
Deborah and Mark tonight. So we want to try to answer that if we can. Keep it going on here a little bit. Got some questions about certain things. So I'd like to answer questions if I have an answer. I'm gonna have an answer. I just might. So yeah. All right. Let me get this going here. It just seemed like a wild night already. Well, all kinds of little things just trying to
This
here.
revelation to his servant
And I
John.
am persistent.
The day
All
of
right, music
truth
is
is
on.
about to
Thank you for that.
dawn. The angels in a group of
Yes, thank you. Somebody's helping me out tonight. Thank you, Nicole, for that help. I'm running behind tonight, so I apologize again tonight, y'all. Just have so much happening, and I try to be here in plenty of time. It doesn't always work out that way. So hopefully everybody's doing well tonight, and we are trying to get things. I got a couple more things to do here real quick, and then I'll be right with you. Um, yeah. Okay. What's that? I can get this going on. All right. Changing phones, y'all, because my other phone was not doing well. All right, but I think I got it, and that should take care of that. Thank you for waiting for me and being patient. All right, I think we are on, and thank you, Jesus. Wow. And I got the music on off. It's not on anymore on the platform, the video platform, so you can go in there if you like. I have a question tonight from Deborah already. She asked me early, I think last night, this question about, let me see if I can find it here. Um, okay. All right, Deborah and Mark. Deborah and Mark said, glad to hear all is well. Listening, curious what you have to say about the island that was bombed over the weekend. Yeah, I really don't know a lot about that, but let's talk about it and see what we can come up with. What do you say? Uh, I think they called that the Karg Island. Um, yeah, Kharg. I was very familiar with that, but as far as knowing what's up with it, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Deborah. So you might ask me more specific question. They are what they're. it's kind of a layered thing that's happening. They are doing things in layers. I know. Generally, overall, what's going to happen is the Iran regime is going to be taken down. We've been saying that, as you guys know, for the last year and a half, almost a year and a half, and so that is the word that we have on it for sure. We have given details in other shows. I don't know if you guys will be able to be on. We gave the details of how to strip it away down to where the Iran regime would be able, that the Iranian people will be able to make the transition. Because what Donald Trump, what President Trump is doing with the military, with the Navy, and all the attacks going on, the bombings, is he is taking away the power of the military and the way that the Iranian regime can fight back. They've been systematically taking it down since what February the 28th. Been about what 2 to 3 weeks now, and very interesting. So so what's happening is that they are uh, it's a systematic thing that they're doing. They're taking it down layer by layer, and then they sit and wait and give Iran a chance to uh, stop shooting missiles and that kind of thing. And so Iran, as long as Iran keeps shooting missiles at people, Trump just keeps going from one layer to the next. So I'm not sure what your question is about the Kark Island, but it's a very interesting subject, and I would love to talk about it tonight. In case some of you haven't been keeping up, I don't know who all knows what, because I don't get a lot of contact about this. I haven't. I don't think anybody's ever responded to the Iran word that I know of, which is okay. But I mean, I'm just saying that I don't know. The interest in it has been kind of low because it didn't probably didn't look like it was going to happen to people. They didn't think it was going to be happening, but guess what? February 28th changed everything. So we're right in the flow of all that, as you know. I don't want to talk about my part of it too much, or part of it too much. I want to just let the news take care of that. But because the news is going to fulfill everything we've been saying for the last year and a half about specifically about Iran. Not every detail of the warfare, of course, but the stripping away, how they strip away, and this is what the Carter Island is. It is partially, it is another layer because they strip away layers. They bomb. They've been bombing their missile sites where they build drones and shooting their destroying their drones, destroying their whole capability to fight back, so that they're not going to be doing the regime change themselves. But as is well known in the news that they are preparing Iran, which Iran is ready. We also have the transition government in process, the transition government with Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, that getting his name right, Reza Pahlavi. I'll get the name in front of me and so way I can pronounce it correctly. But they have the transition government meeting together right now. They're getting ready to take over, just waiting for any moment, and then they will set in. Then they will. They're making sure that Iran cannot kill more people of their own people. They're making sure that they can't fight back and just let the Iranian people do what they want as far as the government, because they have the right to choose according to what. So this is the process. So Karg Island was a very deep dive into the next layer. They didn't bomb. They bombed just enough of Karg Island. Karg Island is the oil center for 90% of Iran's oil is right there. And so let me see if I can read this. Yeah, 90% of their oil exports, not experts, exports. So the Persian Gulf that ships 90% of Iran's oil exports is that small little terminal, believe it or not. So they knew that that would do a number of. They didn't do enough damage that would have to be building for a long time. They kept enough of it to, to be able to build back pretty quick. They could go in and destroy a lot more. They don't want to do that because they want to preserve the oil reserves and the oil exports going out to 90%, that they can get that back to full 90% potential again. So they're trying to be really careful in what they destroy and how they destroy it. So that's kind of what's going on with that. And but I'm not sure if you have a specific question about that. Like, like whatever you're saying. I'm not sure exactly what you. If you could ask me a pointed question, maybe that would help a little bit. But they're systematically taking them down. This is another level, another layer of dealing with their resources. They're taking away their resources. Uh, they can't even fight back. They've done away with the regime. They keep killing all the people who are killing people in the Iranian regime. They're killing all of them. They're going through and systematically Israel, for the most part, and, and Mossad are they Mossad's been working there, as we have talked about many times on the show. Mossad has been working there for this very purpose for many years, and so we give credit to the CIA and to Trump, but the foundation of this battle that's being won has really been done beside God, as done through Mossad, which is the Rothschild. And just like the Rothschild, the Mossad is very quiet, secret, private. I don't know how private they are, but everybody knows about them. But they don't really come out in the news a lot. Uh, so that's just the way that the Rothschilds are. They've been, the most powerful people are usually the quietest, and so that's the way the Rothschilds have been. And Mossad has been a Rothschild thing. So um, yeah, and I know nobody's talking about that yet, but they will soon because I have proof. I have I have circumstantial evidence, heavy duty circumstantial evidence that the Rothschilds are running Mossad. So, what's going on with the island? The oil, they're trying to make sure that Iran knows, and all those that are left of the military IRGC, the bad guys in Iran, the militant people, ones who are professional fighters that are trying to kill out the Iranian people that are resisting them. They are trying to destroy them in every fashion way that they can, hoping that they will give in, hoping that they will give up. Because the Iranian regime, basically, as far as the Ayatollahs and a lot of their guys, and a lot of people have been taken out in the last few days. So this has really been a big thing, and they're calling it one of the biggest things that's happened in the globe than maybe ever in a long time, at least a long time. This is really a massive operation, and so I don't know if anybody has some specific questions to ask me about that, uh, about the Kark Island. I think that's what Deborah was talking about. Okay, here we go. Hang on a second here. All right, so let's see. She sent me something here. I was wondering what the relevance of the island was and who was attached to the island. Well, the island is the main is 90% of the oil for Iran. You can look up the article if you want to on PBS, Public Broadcasting System.org, and you can look up. I forgot what I looked up on that, but just look up Kark Island and then go to the KERA or the PBS. That's the one I'm on right now, and it tells you right there that Kark Island is the main source of oil exports for Iran. So they waited, a little while to hit it for some reason. So because they have a plan and they are trying to take it down. So I hope I'm answering that. I don't know if I'm answering. Who was attached to the island? Well, the all of the Iranian regime now, most of them are gone, but you still have people. You still have the IRGC, the military part of Iran, of the old regime of the regime. It's hard to say the regime because they're now all taken down, just like uh, God's been speaking to us about. This has shocked the world that the Iranian regime was taken down so quick. It has shocked the world. The world is in shock over this, and yet we've been talking about it here for what, a year and a half, a little bit less than a year and a half, specifically. Some of you probably got tired of hearing me talk about it. I don't know. But now look at the whole world's talking about it. Everybody's talking about it, and they're obsessed with it because it's crazy. They can't believe it's going on. Nobody can believe it. So I was called, delusional and a lot of other things. by bringing it up. Okay, yes, you answered it. I looked into it today, but wasn't sure if it had ties biblically. Oh, biblical. You mean the island being biblical? Now that's a good one. I don't know about that. That could be, there could be something there too that is biblical. I really don't know. If you get something on that, if you find an article or somebody talking about it, I would love to kick that around. So, but I personally don't have any biblical knowledge about the Karg Island. Now, with Iran, there's I would have never known this, I don't think, but now Nicole maybe have been talking about this. I don't know what Nicole's been talking about all this, but as far as the biblical part of what's going on with Iran, but I've been watching some TBN people and some other people, uh, and they are saying that they're I think they're saying Jeremiah 49. Is that right? Jeremiah 49. Um, that's kind of what people are saying that this is, and so I guess we could talk about that a little bit. Jeremiah 49. Um, okay, okay. Yeah, they're calling it. Some people are saying that Joel Rosenberg is talking about Jeremiah chapter 49 about how the biblical part of Iran be taken down. So there's a lot of people I think talking about. So you could probably go and find somebody you like and see what they're saying about that. The Jeremiah 49 keeps saying Isaiah and everything else but the right thing. Let's see. Let's go here. Jeremiah 49. But it's all I can tell you is that okay, here we go. Let me go there. Yes. All right, Jeremiah 49. All right, so this is what a lot of preachers are talking about it. It's talking about how the missiles or the arrows of uh, Edom, is that right, Edom? Anyway, if you go to Isaiah 49 and then you listen to some of these guys talk about it, they're talking about how that the arrows, which they're talking about are missiles, they're interpreting those arrows as missiles in Jeremiah 49, that so they're saying this is the fulfillment of some of that. But the thing is that what it's leading to is the judgment of Elam. Yeah, here we go. Behold, I will break the bow or the missiles. They're saying these are missiles. The bow of Elam, like a bow being shot. The foremost of their might, which is they're saying that the foremost of Iran's might is the missiles or the bows of Elam. Elam is basically Iran. And against Elam, I will bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven and scatter them toward all those winds. There shall be no nations where the outcast of Elam will not go, for I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies and before those who seek their life. I will bring disaster upon them. My fierce anger, saith the Lord, and I will send the sword after them until I have consumed them. I will set my throne in Elam, and I will destroy from there the king and the princes, saith the Lord. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring back the captives of Elam, saith the Lord. So basically, they're saying that the judgment of Elam is the bows, is and I guess Trump and all the people coming from all over the place, from the four winds of the earth, to destroy the missiles, and which is basically the most strategic thing that they have is the missiles. They don't have a nuclear bomb right now, so they can't really do anything with that. But what they're doing is their missiles. They've been working on their missiles and drones, of course. And so that's really becoming a thing here. All right, so they are saying that. I don't know if that's right or not. It looks right to me. I like it. Uh, verse 34 in Jeremiah 49. Nicole might have something to say about some of that. I'm not sure if she's into that or not. I haven't heard her talk about it specifically, but if she wants to respond to that, she can, of course. But there you go with that. And so, they're taking out the missiles. So it doesn't say anything about oil in that particular thing. I've been doing some research on it, but I haven't gotten anything yet on that. Deborah, thanks for asking, Deborah and Mark. I am, just thrilled that this finally happened. It's just been an overwhelm for me, a complete overwhelm for me. This whole thing has just been unbelievably one of the biggest battles I've ever been in, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, since we gave birth to that word. Here's what I see basically happening. I've talked about this before, but in case you haven't heard me talk about this or heard the recent, Trump just keeps saying how easy it is. It's just really been easy so far. We're way ahead of schedule, he says, right? And so the explanation that I give for that is when the cup of iniquity in the giants in Canaan land was full, then it says that in Numbers 14, it talks about how that their armor, they had no protection any longer. Okay, Nicole says she didn't have anything on this. It sounds interesting. Yeah, I don't really know either about that. So, but here's the thing that that I see happening, and that is that the Iran regime is going down, and what's happening is that the next step uh, is going to be the temple, right? Because they're going to have peace. Because once they take out Iran, which seems like a lot of people are saying it's still impossible. They've already really basically got it done. I mean, basically, it is done. It's not finished, but it's done. In my eyes, it's been done a long time, actually. But the reality of it is that the word of the Lord. Oh, I know I was going to tell you guys earlier. I'm going around here. I'm going to get this straight here in a second. The reason that it was easy for them to take down Iran was because just like it was easy for them to go in and take the giants, it wasn't perfect. I'm sure some Israelis died by the giants, but overall, the impossibility of them taking down the giant, it was impossible. Just like everybody's been saying, it's impossible to take down Iran, right? And we've given this word, again, I repeat 100 times for the last year and a half, specifically not saying let's pray about Iran going down. We said specifically, thus saith the Lord, Iran is going down, and the regime is going to be taken down. We said that specifically. And like I said, we didn't even ask for prayer about it because it's the word of the Lord. When you get the word of the Lord, you don't ask for prayer about the word of the Lord, at least most of the time. It's just going to happen. And so to watch it unfold has just been shocking to me, lovely shocking and relieving. But when they went in to take Canaan, it's only the reason they were able to do it was because they had no protection anymore. That's what Numbers 14 says. It says they had no more protection, right? So we talked about that last week. But so Trump has been saying how easy it is. That's why. That's why. Yes, Mossad has done the work to prepare the way. And so they helped that cup of iniquity come to be full. So, there's a lot of things that worked in it. I don't want to just say it was just God bringing it to fruition, but you have to go to the source first. When God told Moses or Joshua it's time to go take the land, and then Joshua crossed over and they went in and they took it. So why was he saying that? Why did we say on PGN right here on March the 20th, 2024, not 2025, not 2026, 2024, that the Iran regime will now go down? And the trigger for it was in April, the month before that, when the Iranian regime's president went down in the helicopter in Azerbaijan, right? Which we had said, no, it didn't go down until it didn't go down. We said the Iran regime would go down through Azerbaijan, and then that was in April, And then on the 20th, we gave the credit to Israel and to Mossad. Israel is Mossad's intelligence agency for foreign development and things. So they, you know, it was we pronounced it. God, the word of the Lord came, just like when the word of the Lord came to Moses and said, and Joshua, go. It's now cross the river. It's time to go. And why? Because their armory they had no protection anymore. And you see this prophetically coming to pass right now through Trump's own mouth. I mean, we're way ahead of schedule. It's so easy. We just got. He just said, "Well, I think we're going to take. We may hit Carg Island again just for the fun of it." It's kind of like a mockery of how strong the giants were. The giant, the regime of Iran, how big they were, how threatening they've been to the globe, and more than most of you know, because maybe you don't keep up with that much, but it has been huge. It has been huge. This has been one of the biggest words I've ever seen come to pass that God had given me. Actually gave it to me in 2007, 2008, as I've talked about 100 times. But so it's the reason I keep saying the word of the Lord, y'all. It isn't to brag about that we got it right here on PGN. It maybe a little bit of that, but it's mainly because just like in the Bible, it said the word of the Lord came, and Joshua was told to go in and take the land. The giants are going to fall now. Go in. They have no protection. Go take them. He had to have a word from the Lord. So we right here preaching, we were the only ones that said that. People think, oh, you just bragging because no, maybe a little bit. Okay, it may be possible. I'm not saying, but overall, we have to keep reminding ourselves this is the word of the Lord. This isn't just something that President Trump decided to do because he was in a foul mood and he didn't like Iran. No, this is much deeper than that. The people are just trying to say, oh, Trump, he's trying to be the king, he's trying to be the savior of the world, he's trying to be all these things, and in his mind, he may be used for some things, but that's not it. It's the word of the Lord came and said, go take it down. The word of the Lord came and said that the bombs that were going to hit Iran's nuclear sites was like an earthquake, which, as you guys remember, I couldn't remember remembering knowing exactly what that was. Like, what is that? It's like a bomb, but it's not. It's an earthquake. And what is it? I didn't know. Maybe it's both. And then what happened? They put a bomb-making an earthquake shaking bomb that went through the rock. And yeah, so the word of the Lord, it's the word of the Lord, y'all. That's why I keep saying the word of the Lord. It isn't bragging about PGN. It has nothing to do with it. Well, maybe a little bit to do with it. But mostly it is, we got to stay biblical. Why is Trump, why did they have success in bombing those nuclear sites? Because the word of the Lord gave it and said it. April, May, June, I don't know, a while before they did it. Right? And so I repeat that stuff a lot because it gets in the algorithm and it gets passed around. And so I gave away my strategy on that, but whatever. So it's kind of cool. But so there's a lot of things that go on that I can't talk about, that I can't share, because what I give here on the show, and if I repeat myself a lot, is because I'm getting into the algorithms. And once you have, and I explained this last week, but when you do the algorithm thing, if they're watching people who are terrorists, let's say, and you got somebody who continually talks about terrorizing some family or whatever, and they say it once and they don't worry about that much, but you say it 100 times, they start going, this boy's getting serious. So they do the same thing with the word of the Lord. So I stick the word of the Lord in there over and over and over and over and over again to people's kind of, it's not very pleasing sounding to people. Did he remember he said that already? Yeah, we remember. But there's a reason for all of that. And so I can't explain everything because, why am I doing it now? I don't know. But we are having fun. And so the word of the Lord said the Iran regime is coming down. So that was the okay for Trump to go in and do his thing. And that's why this has happened. It's not because Trump is trying to be a hero. Okay, a lot of people think that's what they're trying to put off all this stuff. He's not. I'm not saying he don't want to be a hero. He does want to be a hero, and maybe he'll be a good hero. I don't know, but that's not it. It's the word of the Lord. Oh, why do you keep talking about PG and giving the word of the Lord? And then it happened, Randy. You just trying to brag on everything? Something like that. But the main point is it's the word of the Lord released. Not saying we think we might. We did some research and it looks like they might be. No, thus saith the Lord, Iran regime is going down now. So that was the word of the Lord. So that's the way it goes. That's the way it happens. It's in the Bible. We do it here on PGN. It's a little bit different, but that's what's happening, y'all. And you can, I don't know if you believe it or not. Maybe you're trying to. I think people want to believe it. They're going like, I don't know, that's too big, that's too crazy. It's all that. So if you have a hard time with it, I understand. But that's really what's going on. And so people who don't understand all this, of course, you get critics of all kinds of. You just get used to it. People don't understand the prophetic at all. But Nicole says she didn't have anything on that on Jeremiah 49. It does sound interesting, she says, but that's what they're saying about the bows, or they're calling them missiles of Elam. All right, so you can look at it yourself if you'd like. So the next phase, as we've said about this very thing, what, 50 times, 100 times? I don't know. We're going to get it in the algorithm one more time. That the next phase is, as this develops, is the peace in Israel and all around Israel, building their temple, and then you're going to see Nathaniel Rothschild show up, y'all. And if anybody asks me, hey man, you know anything about the Antichrist showing up? And do you know anything about the Antichrist name being Nathaniel Rothschild? I'm gonna cry. Not really. So you must not ever listen to the show. Bless your heart. But yeah, so it's getting crazy out there. And if those of you who've been around a while, you know that all this stuff we have prophesied, all this stuff, and not specifically, we didn't say about the military part and all that, but in order for the regime to come down, Mossad had to play its role for many, many, many years. Did the foundation work in it? The CIA did some great things. From what I hear, I'm getting feedback on that. Of course, Trump is doing a great job in fulfilling the word of the Lord, not just trying to be a hero and start another war. Oh, he's just trying to start another war, man. That's all it is. No, it's the word of the Lord. Okay, that's different. So he's not arrogant. He's not being prideful. Now, I'm not saying he can't get pride and he won't have pride. I'm not saying he won't have it. He can have all that before it's over with. Who knows? But you got to understand, friend, that this is the word of the Lord happening here. And will he get overly excited about it? I don't know. Probably, wouldn't you? I mean, I get overly excited when I found out they were going to hit Iran, or they hit Iran and started the process. I was like a little kid, like, eehaw, yeah, ride him, cowboy, go get him, baby. We knew it was going to happen. I just didn't know when. But it had to be soon because of the God had already said, and we've talked about this many times on the show about how that the giants had no more protection. Yeah, so it's all coming together. And all right, anybody got any questions? I feel like I'm rambling on, and there's so much I want to talk about, but I'm not going to do it tonight. Maybe tomorrow night. We'll see. Thursday. But we're going to keep talking about the same old thing because we talk about the future. Sometimes the future is boring because you're going like, well, what are you talking about the future for, man? We want to know what's going on now. Well, we spoke about the future months ago, and now it's now. It is now. It is happening now. The Iranian regime is coming down. The first shot that they fired was really actually the U.S. shot the first. I said Israel did the first shooting, but that was the shooting of the regime. Before that happened, I just got this intel, from YouTube. I got this intel from YouTube that Israel struck after Trump had fired on their. In other words, they blinded them. They took away their satellite systems, so they couldn't see Israel coming. So Trump actually fired first, but he wasn't shooting at people. He was shooting at the the eyes of Iran that watch the skies, the satellite systems and all their warning systems. They were shooting them down to make sure that Iran couldn't see them coming. Okay, so that makes sense. So Israel shot the second one. They were the first ones who shot at the Iranian regime and took them all out. Man, that was a miracle of miracles. Yeah, I talked about that last week. I got some information on that too, and I put that little story together for you last week. How that Ayatollah Khamenei had decided that he was safe during the day on that fateful day. He was safe to go up and come out of his protection, which is about 5 minutes under pure rock. They literally have an elevator that goes about 5 minutes under pure rock, and hard to get in. But one day he just said, they're going to hit me during the day, he says. So he comes out on top and he has a big meeting with all these leaders, and they're all together in one place. And they got notice of it, and they sent their bombers, and boom, they were gone. They killed them all within a few minutes. Every one of them. Well, most of them. It's amazing. It was amazing. And these people are evil, just like Elijah killed the prophets of Baal. So are they doing with the Iran regime? So that's what's happening with that. All right. Any questions about any of this? You can either get your hand up on Turbo or you can chat with me on chat. So, yeah. So the story behind that, I made a short version of it. So there's a long version of it. But he was, according to the CIA and Mossad and all these intelligence, they say that he was the supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was the most protected man in the whole world. They tried to kill him over and over again and couldn't do it. That's why everybody said it was going to be impossible to take him out, much less the whole crew, in one shot. They weren't expecting that at all. That's why Trump said we were, 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, because they thought they were going to have to do them all individually. Instead, they got them all in one place. That was a God thing, y'all. That was a God thing. Elijah got 450 of them and killed them all with the sword, because they were false prophets. And false prophets, those guys, they're dyed in the wool false prophets. They're not just, fake and phony false prophets. They're true false prophets. So they killed him. Elijah killed him with the sword. And that's kind of what they did with the Iran regime. And it's going to continue to be that way because the Iranian people are the ones that we really need to be praying about. We're going to be pray for the Iranian people that they will, at the right time, rise up. The transition government through Reza Pahlavi is in transaction right now. They're actually doing that. That is processing right now as we talk. So this is literally happening. This isn't. If you listen to some of the wrong news, they'll make it sound like this is all crazy. Trump is crazy. No, I mean they're so close to the actual transition with the transition government, and the new transition leader, who his father used to be the Shah of Iran, is now found the world leaders to be on his side, and they're saying, yeah, you can go in with their agreement, go in and take over Iran with a new government. That's already in action, y'all, right now. So this is really, really interesting. And what does that have to do with you and me? It means that all the attacks that they're going to we're planning on bringing to the United States in the future, and are now going to be, for the most part, stopped. They're going to have any more money. They're going to have any more. They're going to have a whack job done on them, as far as emotionally and mentally. They're going to lose their zeal, because their leaders, who they thought were, just like everybody thought it was impossible to take those guys out, now they're wiped out. The people that are working for them to do these terror things across the globe, including the United States of America, I don't know if you've been hearing or not, but they're talking about this. The FBI is warning. So this stuff I've been telling you about, you're going to literally see that the threats of Iran is right here among us. That's not the same level, But it's been here for a while. While we slept, the devil sowed them among us. So we got to wake up, and hopefully some of you guys are waking up. If you're not already awake, some of you are already awake. For those who are not awake, wake up. Quit playing your little prophecy game, you know, and all this stuff. Let's listen to the prophets and what the prophets are saying, and not just a bunch of people trying to build a ministry and make money off of it to, you know, in the wrong way, bring their provision in through selling the gospel, through selling Jesus. That all, I'm telling you, that's all coming to an end. So doesn't may not look like it. It's kind of like the Iranian regime. My wife used to tell me all the time, "Why you keep talking about that?" It was one of our things, man. You know, husband and wife, we just like talk straight, right? Judy says, "You were talking bad about." You know, I love Marcus Lamb, but I talked about him prophetically. She thought I meant it personally. That's what most people do. They think that most of the words that I get are just personal vendettas that I have about people and things. And that's the way Judy was, because she's a very normal Christian who doesn't understand the prophet room, right? She thought I was just being vindictive or something against them because of whatever. But I said, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with him committing adultery. It has nothing to do with her craziness. It has to do with they're selling the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what's doing it. That's why they were in trouble. And she couldn't grasp it. She just said, "Oh, hey, you don't like Donald Trump. That's why you're talking about." But she knew me. That's why you're talking about, you know, Joe Biden being president, because you don't you're mad at, you know. She came up with all these things, you know, like people do, normal Christian people. She was my wife. She could say anything she wanted to, and I let her say whatever she wanted. And we'd go out, eat dinner, and, you know, go shopping, and like a couple of kids, best friends, we'd have a blast. But, you know, sometimes we sit down and we talk about stuff. And she said she was trying to help me. You know, I'm trying to save you, Randy. You have to quit talking about Marcus. Marcus and Joni was one of her favorite things, and I've talked about this before. We'd be sitting there in the living room watching, you know, Daystar Network, and Joni would be on, and she literally, this is so cute, y'all. This is one of the funniest things I ever saw her do. She would be sitting over there in her couch, and we'd be watching Joni and Mark, and she would say, "Yeehaw, go Joni!" And she looked at me like, "Yeah." She was so tough, man. It was so tough. Go Joni! She's rooting for Joni because Chandler was saying, you know, I mean, that's going down, man. You know, I told you all about the text that I sent my wife on July the 4th, 2021. It kind of sounds nasty, but it's not nasty. It's I sent her a text. I got proof of it on my phone. It says I sent a text to Julie because we had this thing about Joni, and I said they are going to say of Joni, the rich bitch that led them all into the ditch, and that's just the way it came out of me. And I don't call people bitches. I don't do that. That's a female dog, you know. I don't use that language, you know. But that's the way I put the text. And I got it. She said that even rhymes. She laughed and said that rhymed, but I knew what she was doing. She was like, the next time she got a chance, she's going to be like rooting and hollering for Joni because Joni is awesome, and I think she's awesome too. But you know, but the Lord was doing something, and it wasn't my personal opinions, right? But that's what people think. You know, some of y'all might think that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but it's a human thing. It's a human thing. People just think, oh, you just don't like Trump. You don't like Biggs because he's got the earshot and you didn't, and you know, wrong. It sounds personal, I'm sure, and that's all that human minds can come up with. But it's not true. It's just not true. And so, so when people realize that that's not what it is, it's usually, you know, too late for them to, like, yeah. You hope they're going to learn before then, but most of the time they don't, because they already know it's personal. It's because it does look like it sometimes. There's no doubt about it. But we got to get our spiritual eyes open, y'all. We got to wake up, man, including me. I need to wake up a lot too. All right, anybody got any questions? Uh, we'll talk about some things tomorrow night too. I'm not through yet, but if you have any questions, you'd like to ask some things, you can. All right. I have the layout that we've kind of given over the last year and a half or so. I've had it up for a while, and I want to get into that, but I don't want to get into it tonight. But I want to lay it all out for you because I have it right here, and it's kind of exciting. But that's it. Okay. Here we go. But we'll talk about that tomorrow night. I think we're going to try to talk about that tomorrow night. I would like to talk. I want to talk about the lowdown and the strategy that we have given with everything. Uh, I have this, you know, list of things of how we have talked about it and all the things that happened. Like the bombing of Iran's sites, nuclear sites. Why that happened and what happened after that. What happened? I got a whole list of things right here, one thing after the other, explaining and putting it all together like a big puzzle. Like I said, but I'll talk about that tomorrow night, and we'll get most of it done. There's a whole lot, but then we will finish it up maybe on Thursday. I'm just saying this is what we're going to do, and I can change my mind, right? Y'all know how I change my mind, so that's kind of that on that, and we're going to give the layout on how it all happened, how the Lord prophesied it through PGN, the whole process, so you can get the overall process of what's about to happen. Now, the future is not that much fun to watch, right? To hear about. We want to hear about what's right now, but what you're hearing now, as you know, with those of you who kept up with the uh, Iran thing, I mean, this is exactly what we've been saying. It's precisely not, oh, they're going to have some problems in Iran and some issues, No, we said specifically Iran regime coming down, and I even talked about the process of how they're going to have to do that, and that's kind of what they're doing right now. I don't know that I got it exactly precisely right as far as one layer after the other, but we've talked about it here on PGN, and so it's all going to come out, and God's going to bless PGN. Let me tell you something. If I tell y'all everything that we're going to see God bless us with, it's blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind if you can believe it. If you can try to believe it, it's going to blow your mind. So I don't know where you've been, what's been going on. You've probably been here. I'm not sure where you've been exactly, what's been up, but hang in there and be courageous and know that we're right in the middle of this thing, just like we've talked about 100 times. PGN, Randy Chandler is right in the middle of the end times, and we're getting the information on the big things, not every little detail of everything. Like the Iran regime coming down a year and a half ago or so, that was probably one of the most powerful words as far as uh, effective on how it's affecting the whole world how Iran is affecting the whole world in a very negative way. And they were getting ready to pull the trigger and get these things going. They were going to try to take over the whole globe and one strategic pull, just like Trump has done with Iran. He went in and he just started, he started just taking it down. Had a plan, and he went in there, and so the same plan Iran has had to take down the United States. That's why they say we're the big devil. Like, we're coming after you. That's what they said. Israel the same way, and all the rest of the globe that doesn't agree with it, they were going to go for the big boys first. I think Israel's the biggest boy, actually, in all truth. The United States is awesome militarily, and we have power, and we're great, but not like Israel is just a whole different whole different ballgame. And so this is getting wild and crazy, man. And but Trump had a strategy, a layered strategy. The Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme leader who's now dead, was going to do the same thing with the United States of America, except in a different way. And that's why you guys need to be interested in this. I know it's hard to be interested in nations. I've never been interested in nations. Cindy Jacobs just talking about nations all the time. I'm like, it just bored me. I'm like, I know it's important, but I can't seem to get involved. I can't seem to get excited about the nations for some reason. She prophesied to me once I remember she's at the top of the stairs. Me and Mike were down at the bottom of the stair, and I was down in the working on something down there because I was just working for them, remodeling and repainting their house. Uh, well, I did a lot more than that, but anyway, so she hollered down from the front stair, from up top of the stairs. She said, "Randy Chandler." I said, "Yes, ma'am." I thought she was fixing to tell me something, like jump on me for something, not jump on me in a negative way, but we're going to give you some more money, or something like that. Instead, she said, and they did give me money, even though I never asked for it. She said to me, "You're going to go to the nations." And I went, "Okay." That's literally what happened. I said, "Yes, ma'am." What did you say? And I just went back to work. But that's what happened. She literally hollered down the stairs. She was in her office up there. I never saw her, but she hollered up. She said, "Randy Chandler, you're going to go to the nations." And I already knew I was going to go, but I didn't know it was going to be like this. So kudos to Cindy Jacobs, right? And she didn't give any specifics. She told me I was going to be like an evangelist. I was in a prayer meeting of theirs. It's Christ for the Nations, where she was having meetings, and I was down on the floor praying, and everybody's down on the floor praying. She walked over to me and she stood next there to me, and she said uh, something like, "You're going to be an evangelist to the nations." And I went, "Now that makes more sense. That's what I wanted to be." And but it's turned out to be a whole different thing than what I thought on some of it, as far as back in the 2008, 2009, 2002, and not 2009, in 2008. Let's see, in 1988, God started speaking to me about the nations and the Antichrist and the two witnesses and the temple. He started speaking to me. I told you guys about that back in 1988, right? So, uh, so I was aware of some of the things, but before that, I just want to be a healing evangelist. I want to evangelize the world, win people to Jesus. But that all shifted when God said, "I know you don't want to be a prophet, Chandler, but sorry, you got it, man. And when you start obeying me in it, I'll bless you." So He has, and so there you go. All right, I'm gonna. Somebody just asked me a question or get on the line and want to talk for a second. Um, you know, I'm going to call it a night. It's 9 o'clock. It's Tuesday night. We were off last night for different reasons. I actually just ran late, and I was just so tired, and I've been running around. It's been a busy weekend. A lot is going on, y'all. There's a lot going on, and so I was running late. I looked up, and it was too late for me to get everything together, and without rushing. And so I just texted everybody and said, "I'm not going to do the show tonight," and that was that. All right, so that's really it. That's the real truth. The real truth. That's the real truth. Okay, y'all. Let me see if anybody got any questions here from. All right. Um, Anybody got anything they want to ask or say or whatever? Looking for a. All right. Deborah goes, "Thank you. I'm not sure I did good on that or not, but you're welcome. You answered it. I looked into it today, but wasn't sure if it had ties to biblically also." Okay, I got you. Really good question. Um, okay, there's Nicole's been talking about the Antichrist situation lately here, and she sent me some text on that. All right, let me know kind of what's going on there, and I thank you for that. Um, so, mm, yeah, I mean, what do y'all want to talk about? Just get something going here. I'm ready to go, but I'm not going to talk about my. I'll talk about on the show tomorrow night some of the puzzles of bringing things together, so you can understand why the word of the Lord is so important. It's not bragging on PGN; it is bragging on the word of the Lord, and we get to get a little bit of ha ha ha, thank you Jesus, along with it. All right, so okay, it's awesome. But we're going to put that puzzle together for you and show you what how it's all going to go, where it's going to go. I mean, where it's going to go. We're going to go with what has happened, what we've prophesied here on PGN, and about this specific thing and where it's all going. And you know, I've got it right here, and so it's kind of a long list, but I'm trying to make it as short as possible so you can have it and get it in your head and something to go back and listen to about how all this thing has progressed, moved forward uh, from way back in 2023 all the way. We're going to show the whole picture of that from our perspective, from the words that we have given, and from the information that we have. When Trump became president, that was from a Nineveh situation. When you have a Nineveh, it changes a lot. The only thing that hasn't changed, really, is, of course, the financial thing is going to happen. That is not going to change. It's going to the way it comes about, maybe a little bit different, but it's all going to go to the same place, and that is the dollar, doing its thing, and gold and silver, and the new currency taking over, which will make the dollar basically nothing. And also, it's going to be because Trump is working some things, but that when China and Russia and North Korea and all those guys decide to separate out from the dollar with their own currency, then it's going to make the dollar even weaker. See, and they're preparing for that. Are y'all listening? Can you hear me out there? They are preparing for that. What do you think Trump is doing? They know where this thing is going, overall. So, you know, that's what's happening. He's preparing for the new currency. Not necessarily, the dollar's not even going to be an issue as far as what happened to the dollar? We don't know. Is it there? Maybe not. Maybe not. We don't know where it's at. It's going to kind of like be a different thing. It's going to take on a whole new nature, and it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the dollar that we know at all in any fashion or form. And so that's all changing. And in order for things to work right and work, slick and smooth, you can't have the dollar. The dollar's going to mess it up. So yeah, so they're going to deal with that. And so we have a Nineveh with Trump. You got to always keep that in the back of your mind. But it hasn't changed where it's all going. In fact, Trump is helping it get there faster by taking down Iran. Biden and the Democrats would have, as far as we know, would have never done that. No president has ever done that. So God chose Nineveh to get back in there. Trump, Nineveh, to get back in there, changed everything, shut the ear, it brought him to his knees. The people followed. Everything changed as far as the immediate future for Trump. And so, but it hasn't changed where everything is going. As you can tell, we're heading toward the end of the end times really fast and really quick. And so, okay, Anya says, Randy, did you hear about the Monroe Doctrine? Trump mentioned a couple of times about this. I'm just asking. The Monroe Doctrine? I don't know. The Monroe Doctrine. Marilyn Monroe? No, I'm just kidding. I know that's not it. Don't you dare say, no, that's not it. Woo! The Monroe Doctrine. I don't know. I haven't heard about that. Let's look at it and see. The Monroe Doctrine was President James Monroe, 1823, declared the Western Hemisphere closed to further European colonization and warned against European interference in the affairs of independent American nations and the affairs of independent American nations. It established the U.S. policy as neutrality in European affairs while asserting the U.S. sphere of influence in America. So, what does that mean exactly? I don't know. Key principles of the Monroe Doctrine: no future colonization of Americans, We're no longer subjects for new colonization by European powers. No interference. The U.S. would not interfere in existing European colonies or internal European affairs. Okay, separation of spheres. The political system of Europe and the Americans were fundamentally distinct. Opposition to the intervention, any attempt by European powers to extend their system to any part of the Western Hemisphere would be considered a dangerous threat to the U.S. peace and safety. Okay, let me see that again. Opposition to intervention, any attempt by European powers to extend their system to any part of the Western Hemisphere would be considered a dangerous threat to U.S. peace and safety. I don't know. I don't think I know anything about that. What is it? You know what it's saying overall? I mean, what do you think it's saying? Anya, maybe? Following Latin American nations' independence from Spain, the U.S. feared that European nations might help Spain regain its colonies. The U.S. also wanted to prevent Russia from expanding into the Pacific Northwest and protect emerging trade ties, significance of it all. While initially the U.S. lacked the military power to enforce the doctrine, relying largely on British naval power to discourage European meddling, it became a cornerstone of U.S. foreign policy. The doctrine was later reinforced and expanded upon, especially by the Roosevelt Corollary 1904, which stated that the U.S. had the right to intervene in Latin America countries to manage their international debts and prevent European intervention. This changed the focus from preventing European intervention to justify U.S. intervention in the region. I don't understand what that means exactly. Uh, okay, let me do something here real quick. Computer's trying to mess up on me. Okay, let's go back here. Let me get something here. Okay. Um, do you know what he was saying? I mean, what was he saying about the Monroe Doctrine? Did anybody know? Let's do here. Okay. Let me do this. I'm going to try to answer that if I can. Uh, all right. Okay, Trump has revised and redefined the 1923 Monroe Doctrine as a core tenet of foreign policy, offering. Okay. Hang on a second here. Okay. All right, I got it right here. Yeah, I can find some. All right. May have something here. All right, I'm trying to get you something here. Looking up information real quick. Okay. Okay. I am working on it. Here we go. Okay. The modern Monroe Doctrine. Trump is saying the Western Hemisphere uh, is priority is a priority U.S. security zone, and that foreign great power penetration, especially China, is unacceptable. If that framing is accurate, here's what it has to do with Trump plan for America in practical terms. It shifts national security back to the neighborhood instead of treating faraway theaters as a default focus. The Monroe Doctrine style policy treats the American also as a front line that connects directly to the domestic priorities. Okay. Okay, here we go. Hang on a second. All right, I'm going to try to get an answer here. At least we can document it on the show. Um, all right, the Monroe Doctrine means the Americas are our backyard. Outside powers stay out. How that ties in with Trump's plans. He wants the U.S. to be the main power in North South America. He wants to push China and others out of the influence in places like Venezuela and the Caribbean. He uses it to justify tougher actions close to home, borders, cartels, migration, nearby dictatorships. The idea is, Anya, the uh, focus U.S. strength on our own region first instead of trying to run the world, instead of trying to run the whole world. That's kind of a one thing. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but okay. It is quiet because I'm typing. Yeah. All right. So I am trying to look up answers from people here. So Anya asked me earlier, um, you know, did I hear about the Monroe Doctrine? Trump mentioned a couple times about this. I'm just asking. Right. The Monroe Doctrine, in short, means the Americas are our backyard. Outside powers stay out. How that ties in with Trump's plans? He wants the U.S. to be the main power in North and South America. He wants to push China and others out of influence in places like Venezuela and the Caribbean. He uses it to justify tougher action close to home, like borders, cartels, migration, nearby dictatorships. The idea is focus the U.S. strength on our own region first instead of trying to run the whole world. All right, all right. So that's kind of what's happening. Oh, all right. Can you not hear me? I think you can hear me now. All right, so that's what's going on. We're explaining the Monroe Doctrine, which someone asked a question about that. So there you go. So we're trying to get that up for you. If you can see that right there, I'm going after my background on that. It went kind of bye bye. All right, there you go. All right. All right. So, all right. I don't. Did that help? So I'm not sure if that helped you or not, but so basically, I think he's saying that he doesn't want China and all those influences in places like Venezuela and the Caribbean, including probably Cuba. So he's kind of given his own image of what that is. The Americas are our backyard, all the Americas, North America, South America, right? Uh, all right. So hopefully that helped a little bit. All right. Anybody got any questions tonight for me? You can get on Turbo and ask, or whatever, whatever's on your mind. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be anything about Iran. It can be about whatever. But that's what's happening. Hopefully, you guys can see those questions there. Um, Somebody's asking me why is it so quiet because I was looking up some stuff, and I've got it now. Now it should be back on. Okay. All right. Anybody else got any questions you'd like to ask? That you're welcome, Anya. I don't know if that answered anything or not. Maybe a little bit, hopefully. Um, So really, what you see right here, Anya, is what we've been talking about. To put it in the language of what we've been talking about specifically, about how Russia, China, you know, and all their crew, the dictatorial nations and countries, they're starting to they're going to be separated out. They're not going to be under the dollar anymore. They're going to break away from the dollar, which is going to make the dollar, if you will, weaker in many ways. I, I don't know if that's going to nail a big blow to it or not. We will see what happens. It looks like it would, because once those nations who have used the dollar are going to quit using the dollar altogether, they're going to throw it out basically. Um, you know, I say throw it out. I don't know if that's a proper wording or not, but something like that. So okay, let me look this up real quick. Okay, come on, man! I just sent that. What happened? Okay, I'm going to document all this stuff here. I'm going to put this on here also. Um, this is how it's going to fit in with our new system of Texas and the U.S. Uh, the new Monroe Doctrine locked down our hemisphere, basically, keep China and Russia from gaining control in Latin America and parts of telecom, in parts of telecom, in parts, parts of telecom, minerals, bases, and loons. Yeah, use the U.S. pressure, sanctions, deals, security partnerships, sometimes force, to keep the Americas in the U.S. orbit. In other words, keeping all the Americas in the U.S., not just America, but all the Americas in the U.S. orbit. Result: fewer enemy footholds close to Texas, Florida, the Gulf roots, Texas Trump economy idea. You were describing build a parallel, resilient U.S. system, more production and supply chains closer to home, U.S., Mexico, Americas, less dependence on China, more energy, industrial, logistics centered in the U.S., Texas as an engine, oil and gas ports, manufacturing tech. So Texas is going to be uh, used as an engine for oil and gas and manufacturing and tech and that kind of thing. More financial independence, uh, the stable coin, gold bullion, all that kind of stuff. An American alternative that's harder for global rivals to choke off. In other words, what Trump is doing with the Monroe Doctrine basically is that he's trying to separate us out from the China and the other ones trying to come in and the dictators, the dictatorials from taking over any of the things that we're going after. So you see the separation right here. That's what the Monroe Doctrine really does. So more financial independence is really what's going to happen with all of it, because China and Russia is going to not be another dollar anymore. We will still have it, but it's going to be even weaker, I think. That's what's happening with that, and they're going to be able to work together. The Monroe side protects the neighborhood, so rivals can't surround and destabilize the U.S. from nearby. So we talked about this a while back about how China is trying to destabilize America and the dollar and that kind of thing. And so this is going to the Monroe side of it protects the neighborhoods, so that the rivals can't surround and destabilize the U.S. From nearby. They try to choke us off from our own resources. The Texas Trump economy side rebuilds the real capacity, energy, industry, money rails, ability to function with the dollar and gold, so that the U.S. can withstand China and Russia pressure globally, right? The combined message here is that we control the hemisphere. We don't need China's system to function. Where dictatorial fits in the tension, where the dictatorial part fits in, to enforce a hard hemispheric line, government tends to centralize power, security state tools, enforcement, crackdowns, and cartels, foreign networks, right? So that's what we're trying to do. The dictatorial thing is that taking back the dictatorials like Venezuela, Cuba soon, it looks like. And so, in other words, the separation is literally happening, and the Monroe Doctrine has a large part to do with that. So the same strategy that aims for independence can look authoritarian in practice if it relies on emergency powers, aggressive policy, and heavy economic controls. I'm going to say that in English this time, so hang on a second. Okay, here we go. All right, let me get this to you here. All right. Here's the more simple version of that. The new Monroe Doctrine plus Texas Trump economy. in one simple picture is the new Monroe Doctrine, uh, about China and Russia. Stay out of the American. In other words, it's protecting us from China and Russia in a new way. It's telling them to stay out of America. In other words, a separation is going on. And other nations too that are dictatorial. The Texas Trump economy, America with Texas as the engine, builds its own strong system, energy, manufacturing, money, gold and silver. So we don't need China. How they work together is we keep enemies out of the backyard, the Monroe Doctrine, build strength at home so we can't be pressured or controlled. That's the Texas Trump economy. So protect the neighborhood and build independence of the U.S. economy. And so I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to get everything I can out there for it. Let me see if I can get that out there. Yeah, I'm trying to get it up there for you so you can see it. If that helps any. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that did it. The Monroe Doctrine that she was asking about. Hope that made it really clear, a little bit clearer on all that. I know everybody's getting ready to go to bed. I mean, that's what I'm getting ready to do. No. Yeah, I could be at this all night long, y'all. It's really up to y'all. But so there you go. The Monroe Doctrine, we talked about that. Rain, TT asked what's going on. I never answered anything. Why is it so quiet? Yeah, me too. Um, okay, so there you go. All right, good. Awesome. We are going at it tonight like crazy, like a bunch of wild Indians, maybe wild wolves, good wolves. Yeah. All right, y'all. Anybody else got anything else you want to ask tonight? Before I decide to go, I can stay with you a little bit longer if you want. It's up to you. Give it a second. We have a little bit of a delay on the video, so we'll give it a minute here. And if nobody has any more questions, all right. So there you go. All right, I'm going to give it a few. Yeah, Monroe Doctrine basically the way Trump is trying to run it here just keeps our enemies out of our backyard, basically, where they can't come in and take over people close to us and try to choke us off from you know what belongs to us. Actually, okay. All right. Okay, y'all. I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to call it a night. Nobody's answering, so we'll go on. Bye bye. I will see you tomorrow night. Wednesday nights are the night that we prophesy and pray for every person, everywhere, wherever you are. You don't have to be a friend or a partner, or we're not. I don't have partners anyway. I mean, we have partners, but not literal. Sign up for partners. But there's nothing to sign up for. There's nothing to do. You just show up, get your name in there, and we'll pray for you. If you can't stay awake while we're doing it, or you got to go to work or whatever, all you got to do is just get your name on there. Say, please pray for me, And if you have any special requests, you can ask for that. Uh, and I will prophesy over you every Wednesday. We do that every Wednesday. Every Wednesday we do that. All right. So get a hold of that, man. You're gonna like it. It's gonna be really good. All right. Good night, everybody. I think that is it. Wednesday night is our night we pray over every person. Please don't miss that. It's really cool. All right. Good night, Angie from the Shazo. Uh, Anya says, oh, so Anya was still listening. Okay, maybe I made that a little bit later. All right. I was not familiar with the Monroe Doctrine, but I think we got it pretty good. It looked like, basically, looks like we did pretty good. All right. Good night, Ange, and uh, everybody there. Let's see. Hang on a second. All right. Yeah. Anya, good night too. Thank you so much for the questions. And sometimes it helps to have an interview style thing going on.